And with that, I'll turn it over to Senator Murray.
Great. Well, thank you all so much for joining me today. You know, as a nation, we really do owe our veterans more than a debt of gratitude. We really owe it to our veterans and their caregivers and their families to ensure that they get the care they need for their both physical and mental well-being. That is why I fought so hard to pass legislation expanding the Caregivers Program back in 2018. But the work doesn't end just because something is signed into law. And that has been frustratingly true in this case. I have been regularly meeting with veterans and their families in Washington State and pressing the VA across several administrations now about how this law is actually being implemented. And what I've heard has been frustration, confusion, and worry from people who've been told they could lose the support that they rely on or not get any access at all. So I have been hammering away at the VA with one message, loud and clear: fix this. There is no reason the implementation of this program should have been so confusing. We don't leave our veterans behind ever. After all the bipartisan work we did so we could expand the Caregivers Program and help more people get support, I was really outraged to see the goal undermined by unacceptable restrictions proposed by the last administration that threatened to kick veterans out of the Caregivers Program and cut them off from the resources that they need. As the daughter of a veteran, one who relied on the VA for care our family needed, this is really personal to me. I have been pressing the VA at every opportunity to do right by our veterans here. And last month, we had a breakthrough when the VA announced a pause on dropping people from the Caregivers Program and a careful reevaluation of the rules that threaten to limit people's eligibility. This is a good step, and I'm glad to be able to give some of our veterans and their families peace of mind for now. But there is still too much uncertainty and confusion, which is exactly why I'm going to continue to push the VA to not just pause this, but to fully reverse course on actions that are really threatening to cut off veterans from the support they need. Just a few days ago, I made it very clear to Secretary McDonough again that the VA needs to align the Caregivers Program with congressional intent and communicate better with veterans and caregivers about changes to the program. Whatever it takes, people need clarity. I was very clear. People in Washington State need to understand what this announcement means for them. If they get dropped from the program before the announcement, what does that mean? These are questions that the VA has to respond to immediately. Legislatively, I'm also working on a bill that will give families access to supportive services for kids in caregiving households. I grew up in a similar situation. I know just how important it is that we as a government make sure that we are there for our veterans' families when they need us. At the end of the day, I know the most important thing I can do is to make the VA work for Washington State veterans, is to listen to them and their families and make sure their voices are heard in the halls of Congress, in every conversation I have with the VA, and anywhere important policy decisions about our veterans are being made, which is exactly why this event today is so important. So I really want to thank all of our veterans and caregivers for joining me today and for your service to our country. Sharon, Laveda, Melissa, I look forward to hearing from all of you. This is really important, what you are telling us. And I want you to know that sharing these stories and perspectives is really important to me. Really makes a big difference. So Laveda, we're going to turn it over to you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Senator Murray, for being such a strong supporter in Indian country. Good afternoon. My name is Laveda Anderson. I'm a Tribal Veterans Service Officer accredited through the Washington Department of Veterans Affairs. I make the following statement as an enrolled tribal elder. I'm not representing any given tribe at this point, and my personal opinion of the family caregivers for veterans in Indian country for the VA program. Because of my experience serving and supporting tribal veterans in the past 18 years, I am familiar with many of the programs the Department of Veterans Affairs provides. I am trained to navigate and assist veterans in accessing all benefits and services available to them. With that said, I share the following personal opinion based on the aforementioned experience of this VA program. There's little known regarding eligibility for this program, as many of its outcomes are inconclusive. This program dictates that the veteran must be service-connected for 70% or more and receive direct care from that service-connected disability at that rating for the family member to be eligible to care for the veteran. Unfortunately, not all tribes have the designated veterans programs or can hire an accredited service officer to assist determining the service-connected disability. Most veterans have little or no understanding of how to apply on their own. The program proposes what the program proposes, or nor that some veterans can be determined ineligible due to their disabilities. The assigned 800 number for the support and questions does provide sufficient information for the veteran regarding their eligibility and assisting in filling out the form. There are a good group of social workers that are in New York. Everyone will call the 800 center number that provide good support information. Even after the veteran does apply, can they, that after they apply on their own, they're not able to explain to them where the form 1010 CG is, or if it makes them eligible or not. So in this, oops, sorry. Disability eligibility denied them because of their service-connected disability does not meet eligibility criteria, that the next step are to go through to an appeal. It is important to note that in Indian country, the newly trained TVSOs are also unaware of self-doing processes for appealing a denied claim. An appeal process can take for up to 90 to 120 days to be reviewed or determined by a team from the VA that will ultimately make the decision to stand by the appeal or not. Furthermore, these teams are oftentimes unaware of the tribal sovereignty and any policies that may lead to the substantiated denial. Many rural tribes and reservations have few care providers. If a family member chooses to assist a veteran in this program, then the privacy and trust concerns exist for many tribal veterans and families, as they're not always willing to share details regarding medical issues or their lifestyles. In addition, is it important to note that there are no policies in place at this time that address physical or proximity challenges to the tribal veterans from the Department of Veterans Affairs, as well as natural disaster with the roads and highways that have been washed into the Puget Sound at the West End. And there are frequently interstate transportation issues, such as the limited working ferries to travel for appointments. Many tribal veterans need medical care, but not many of them do not drive or have adequate transportation to or from the reservations. Oftentimes they rely on other providers or veterans programs to attend their appointments. For example, I have an 85-year-old veteran who must travel 4 hours one way for a 15-minute appointment for an identified provider by the VA. When it comes to specialized care for cancer treatments, it is not uncommon for providers to be even less accessible or further away for the tribal veteran. As a result, tribal veterans normally incur the cost for required lodging. This is especially in the case of many veterans that receive pension. These inherent challenges set the tribal veteran up for failure, and so many of the veterans feel discouraged to the point that not even trying to become service connected, which is a requirement for their eligibility. This program would be excellent to fit for the tribal veterans in rural and urban reservations. With the policies were broadened to address these issues. Many of the VA programs have to be individually fit for rural tribes and reservations. Timelessness of services need to be clear, published to ensure that the veterans understand that the process is not a rapid one. And maybe, for an example, eligible service-connected disabilities, that they need an example. To find the fact sheets that most tribes do not even have adequate internet, as you can tell by mine today. It has been an honor to travel many reservations over the years to work with these programs and to assist veterans in Indian country. And given an additional time, I would be more than happy to share more of the additional knowledge that meets in Indian country for the purpose of tribal veterans. Thank you, Senator, and now I'll turn it over to Sharon.
Sharon, you need to unmute.
There.
There
Is
you
that
go.
better?
Much better.
Okay. Well, I wanted to thank Leveda because her and I have worked together for many years, and the issue of this Caregiver Act is kind of like a intersection for her and I. I'm a retired Navy veteran, retired chief. My husband is a retired Air Force major. He fought in Vietnam, flew in Vietnam, has Agent Orange related issues right now. I was in the current war. So we have these issues that are popping up for both of us. But right now, my husband's are the most dire. He has stage 5 kidney disease, a lot of caregiving that has to happen by me in our home in order to just allow him the dignity to be able to stay at home. And I can manage, but sometimes I need help. I'm a veteran too. I'm a service officer. I'm a volunteer service officer. I like spending my time when I can to help other veterans. With caring for my husband, that's something has to give. And most likely that is what's going to, I'm at a post right now, American Legion post in Bremerton. I have veterans sitting outside this door waiting to see me just so I can help fill out the forms. I have a family I want to talk about specifically in West Seattle when they're a multi-generational family. The husband is 100% disabled, Agent Orange, PTSD, all of it. He lives in his bedroom, basically, and his wife helps take care of him. And they have 6 grandchildren living with them. Their daughter worked in the nursing field and had to quit her job to stay home to take care of her dad. And it makes no sense because she's there and would be the perfect person to help provide care. But with the Caregiver Act, they were denied. And I was shocked. They were denied again. And then I said, well, we must appeal this. And we appealed it, got nothing. I tried, and I'm pretty persistent. And I tried inroads, back roads, Washington State Department of Veterans Affairs, and nobody could explain anything. It was a program that existed on paper, but you couldn't apply it to anybody's life. So I, was actually happy when I found out they had received a letter in the mail about a month ago, and it was, would you like to appeal? And I'm like, well, we already appealed twice. Well, sure, let's do it again. And that's exactly what we did. So we're waiting. So happy to have this opportunity to speak for these families. I had remarks all prepared, but I'm just talking from my heart. I know that there are several families and spouses of veterans that have to make hard decisions about, we can't do this just economically, and we might have to move our veteran to a nursing home where they can be cared for. That's a hard decision because what veterans want to do and what keeps them well is being with their family. Some of them sick enough that all they want is to be able to just pass away at home with loved ones around them. And I don't think that's too much to ask. I think they've earned this right. They've earned this benefit. And I just wish I had more positive things to say, but I haven't seen it work out once. So when these families, their needs are our needs. They're in our communities. They are our fathers, our grandmothers. They're our sisters, our brothers. And in my case, it's I'm myself. And I really think that we need to follow up, hold somebody accountable. And I appreciate everything you're doing, Senator Murray, to do that, to hold somebody accountable. It's the least we can do. That's, I guess, all I have to say. Melissa?
Thank you so much. My name is Melissa Margain. I am the Seattle Program Director for Minority Veterans of America, a nonpartisan nonprofit dedicated to creating an equitable and just world for minority veterans, which includes veterans of color, women vets, LGBTQ vets, and religious and non-religious minorities. In this role, I oversee community engagement, programming, and support the 100,000 veterans that call King County, Washington their home, to include veterans enrolled in this very program. The Program of Comprehensive Assistance for Family Caregivers is open to service-eligible veterans who are in need of support from another person. This care includes the assistance around the veteran's health and well-being, everyday personal needs like feeding, bathing, and dressing, safety, protection, or instruction in their daily environment. While some veterans have been temporarily halted from removal, we are also supporting a number of veterans who have either not been reinstated or have not received correspondence from the VA in regards to their status. As a U.S. Army disabled veteran myself, who is or was considered a legacy participant and was enrolled in the VA program for comprehensive assistance up until about 45 days ago, I understand firsthand how the news of removal can have an emotional impact around uncertainty, as my specific needs have not been resolved in the time I've been enrolled in the program. While I won't disclose my full medical history, this program did support me during recovery from a traumatic brain injury and seizure disorder during a deployment in 2009. And that degree of care will be needed moving forward, Veteran family members who also serve as caregivers speak to losing access to caregiver education and training, mental health counseling, which supports compassion fatigue, travel, lodging, and financial assistance when traveling for the veteran to receive care. It also disqualifies them from a monthly stipend, access to healthcare benefits through Civilian Health and Medical Program, otherwise known as CHAMP VA, and at least 30 days per year of respite care for that veteran. Additional benefits of this program involve deepening the connection between the veterans and caregivers by helping navigate the daily challenges we all face on our journey of rehabilitation. I'm sad to see so many veterans be removed from this program, and it is well needed. As a 100% service-connected veteran who is still on a journey to recovery and a representative of Minority Veterans of America, I want to thank Senator Murray's office for your efforts in bringing equitable support and systems access to all veterans. And thank you all for those who have shared their stories today about the importance of this program. And so with that, I'd like to turn it back over to Senator Murray. Thank you.
Well, thank you all so much. Your thoughts and your experiences are so important to us. We established the caregiver program because we recognize that a veteran who needs the care shouldn't have a spouse or someone who's taking care of them has to lose their job and not be able to help them out. So it provides support, it provides wraparound services, and we wrote it very specifically so that veterans caregivers could, it didn't apply to them, and there's been confusion ever since. I'm going to stay on top of this administration. I'm going to make sure we get this done, and I really appreciate everybody working with us to make sure we get this right as Congress intended. So thank you.